Hello, my name is Alok Vasim. I am an architect and an interior designer, and I am currently teaching at Pearl Academy in New Delhi, India, as an associate professor. The topic of this paper is Sustaining Cultural Heritage, deriving the contemporary from the idiom of traditional crafts. The aim of the research has been to find ways to contemporize traditional crafts by adapting them for the modern context by proposing symbiotic craft design relationships that can be helpful for development and sustainability of cultural crafts. Most craftsmen still practicing their crafts today are the last ones of the generation, and the younger ones of these families are not keen to take up their traditional crafts. Though the traditional crafts still find buyers, these are not enough to enable the craftsman to earn a decent living. For most younger consumers, traditional crafts in their original form are seen as boring. Ensuring newness and innovation in traditional crafts can help in creating markets for them. However, innovation has to be tempered with the need to carefully preserve the traditional. The primary purpose of this paper is to examine how symbiotic craft design relationships can be useful for development and sustainability of cultural crafts. The authors have attempted to decode this intangible traditional cultural heritage into a more tangible and contemporary form that can be exposed to the modern day interiors market. The authors have attempted to decode this intangible traditional cultural heritage into a more tangible and contemporary form that can be exposed to the modern day interiors industry, not merely as a decorative piece, but also something that can be functional and still possess that link between the old and the new. The methodology for this research has included field visits, documentation and interviews with traditional craftsmen, literature study and visits to museums and craft repositories, interviews and surveys and case studies of traditional craftsmen and design professionals working in the traditional craft sector were conducted. The authors also used a classroom exercise where the students researched some traditional crafts and adapted them for developing prototypes of contemporary interior products. One of the prime ways to achieve this was the need for design intervention, and the authors have adapted the traditional techniques and styles and motifs to design and develop products and prototypes for interiors that incorporate these traditional crafts and motifs in a more contemporary manner. The authors researched the lifestyle of the Gaddis, an indigenous tribe of shepherds living in Himachal Pradesh. The Gaddis produce a sustainable and eco-friendly textile using sheep wool, and the authors explored this textile through design experimentation using natural dyes and incorporated modern weaves while working with the craftsmen. Such experimentations were done in Chamba district, and newer weaves were incorporated in the traditional textile. Furthermore, this Gaddi yarn was also taken to Bikaner in Rajasthan, where the local weavers wove textiles based on the author's ideas. The Gaddi yarn was also combined with organic Kala cotton from Gujarat, and products were developed and are also being marketed under the design label Armor, based on a sustainable model for circular economy. As a means for design intervention, the authors have introduced a classroom exercise in their design courses. The objectives of this project were to encourage craftsmen to engage with design in order to equip them with the skill and understanding that they would use and build on progressively, to create areas of shared opportunities for the designers and the craftsmen within a collaborative process, to foster a two-way learning process along with the spirit of cooperation, and to develop a sense of empathy in the students towards the act of creating, making, and the maker. So some of the products developed by the students include the first slide shows the gold lamp. This lamp was inspired by the Gond art of central India, practiced by the tribe of Gond people. So the student chose this art and contemporized the motifs for a very contemporary application, and this resulted in the Gond lamp. This slide shows the process of ideation, research, and execution of the project, which resulted in the Gond lamp. Another example is a set of coasters developed by a student that showcases the beauty of the Madhubani art of Bihar. The first picture on the slide shows contemporary wood carving using traditional techniques from Saharanpur on a modern day tray. The second set of pictures shows the traditional art of bamboo weaving from Assam in northeast India, and the lamp features the traditional weave pattern of the headscarf used by the communities living in Assam called the Gamosa. The third product is a tray developed by a student in collaboration with a Kutchi artisan from Gujarat using the Kutchi embroidery. This bedside table is based on the mythological story of Ganesha and uses the Pattachitra method of Odisha. This slide shows a jewelry box designed by the student in collaboration with a traditional artisan from the Gond community. The design of this lamp was inspired by abstract forms of Madhubani art using peacocks and the tree of life called the Mahua, and this resulted in a floor lamp designed by a student. The key findings of this research has been design intervention will bring new product ideas and add value to traditional crafts. Every traditional craft has an embedded story behind it. Applying these crafts to products and objects can bring more marketability and exposure in the contemporary scenario. Care must be taken to retain the stories and the symbolism and ensuring that these are not lost in translation. During the research, the authors found that most craftsmen are open to new ideas. Consumers are also willing to use these contemporary products with traditional crafts. An important aim is to ensure that the traditional owners of intellectual property receive their due recognition. Thus, intangible cultural heritage can be given a new lease of life by bringing it into the mainstream, thus sensitizing urban population. In conclusion, the authors feel that reinterpreting traditional crafts into contemporary forms can be helpful in preserving the unique cultural heritage of our country. The younger generation, especially the millennials, have limited exposure to things handmade, and they can learn to appreciate their heritage. The authors also believe that sensitizing design students about our intangible and tangible heritage is important, as they will be the future custodians of our culture. In order to survive, traditional crafts have to adjust and cater to contemporary patrons. The coming together of the old and new can create a new design idiom, and the link of continuity between the past and the present can be maintained. The study also reveals that such synergies seen in craft design collaborations can result in craft products that are a unique marriage of tradition and modernity. By combining the existing traditional aesthetic and hand skills with innovative thinking, thus contributing towards a sustainable future for traditional crafts and their practitioners. Care should be taken that experimentation and exploration during the collaborative process between the craftsman and the designer must maintain the integrity of the traditional craft and retain its identity without diluting its essence. Thank you.